So I think this is the only way I'm going to win them over is if I do take the twisting thingamajoo. And I did, and I got a concussion my first night, which really sucked. And I got to the back, they're like, man, that was great. I'm like, yeah, because it was real, asshole. So that was my first night there. My second night, I go back, and Brian Urlacher from the Chicago Bears is there. He throws me over the top rope to the floor. That hurt. I won an ESPY award, though, for Best Non-Sport Sports Moment. So once again, something someone my size should not own is an ESPY award, so I have that. So then my third week there, I took a Styles class from AJ Styles. That hurt. And then they had me sitting in the crowd on my fourth week doing nothing. And then Jeff decided that he didn't like me, and he didn't want to use me. And I was like, well, how does this work? And they were like, we'll keep sending you checks for you to stay at home. We'll send you $8,500 a week to stay in LA and not fly to stupid Nashville. And I'm like, okay, keep teaching me a lesson. I dare you. So I sat at home for probably 4 months. And finally, Dusty Rhodes became the booker, and he was writing the storylines. So they gave him the roster, and and how much they're making. And he goes, who's this Jonny Fairplay? Why are you paying him so much money? I ain't never seen him. And they go, well, Jeff didn't like him. He's like, I'll work with that boy. If he was on TV, he'll make me more famous. So I got there and did some stuff with Dusty. We did a little deal where he was looking for an apprentice. And so it was between me and these two girls, because he wanted to be with two girls, and I'm me. So we did a deal where the girls were really nice to him. I'd sit in his office, with my feet up on his desk and his cowboy hat on. He was like, Mr. Fairplay, is there a reason you're in my office disrespecting me? I was like, yeah, I was playing with your stupid hat. So, we had some fun stuff with that, and then Dusty got out of power. Jeff was like, oh, let me take over again, because ratings are going up. So Jeff took over again, and I got sent back home, which, once again, being paid to do nothing was pretty awesome. And so then, 8 months after that, I finally get a phone call. Jimmy Hart was just like, look, this kid's money, this kid's the next Andy Kaufman, I'll work with the kid. So we filmed a bunch of stuff in the back. It was Jimmy Hart basically going through his old ring jackets. They used to wear the ring. He had his Hulk Hogan jacket, his Nasty Boys jacket, his Honky Tonk Man jacket, all these jackets. He's like, God, he goes, I know the next great superstar is out there. I've got to find him. And basically I walked past the door, and he's like, there he is. So we were going to do the whole Andy Kaufman thing with me wrestling women, and we filmed like 6 vignettes. It was, it was all great. Not a single one of them made it on TV. So Jeff once again decided didn't like me, so they actually flew me down, and I kind of did work, even though they didn't use it. So that was it. I think the last thing I did for them, I hosted like 2 episodes of Explosion, which is their syndicated show for overseas, and not the best usage of my talents, but whatever. And 2 years later, $300,000 later, it's like, wow, thanks. So now they're offering Michelle a contract. She'll probably be there in 3 weeks. So we'll see.
I was talking to them actually right before I got on the plane to come here, and so hopefully when I get back, I will have a contract with TNA Wrestling. So that should be amusing. Any more questions?
She's fast. Look at her. She's like.
Yeah, this one's for Jonny as well. How much does Jeff Probst really hate you? Because I get the impression that he hates you a lot.
The animosity is real. I mean, basically on the show, whenever we'd show up for challenges, he's like, come on in, guys. I'd walk in, I'm like, F you. He's like, F you. No, F you. And, we really, really hated each other. And, Tribal Council was something that he takes seriously because he's a tool bag and, whatever. That's his thing. So, the first time I went to Tribal Council, I was hammered. I mean, just pissed drunk. And, I'm sitting there, and what they didn't show is, on the show when he comes here, he's like, John, are you loaded? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, don't you think that's disrespectful to the other people? I'm like, I don't care. What really happened was I fell off my stool. I was so drunk. Sean and Burton had to pick me up, and it was ironic because I actually voted Burton out, so he probably shouldn't have done anything nice. So he sent me, he was like, are you loaded? I'm like, fuck yeah. So that's what really happened. But after Survivor was all over, we both agree that there is great TV in this rivalry that we have. I mean, a lot of people, consider Survivor Pro Islands Jonny Fairplay versus Rupert, and I'm like, I sent Rupert home 8. And I'm like, Survivor Pro Islands was Jonny Fairplay versus Jeff Probst. I'm the first one that just brought it to him. So we both agree that there's great TV chemistry between the two of us, but we also both agree we hate each other's guts in real life, and that escalated at the Vanuatu finale. I'm sitting there walking around with my friend Thunder D that did the Grandma Lie with me, and there was this guy just walking around, and just anybody that listened, he's like, I hate Jonny Fairplay, he's a piece of crap, I hate, and everyone's like, yeah, so what, why are you talking about it? Who cares? And anyway, it turns out that was Jeff Probst's brother. So anyway, I didn't know this, of course. So anyway, he had told my friend, and my friend was like, dude, say something to this guy. I'm like, all right. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? I'm like, I was invited here. Like, don't be an ass. Go away. Like, if you don't like me, don't watch me. I didn't ask for you to be my fan. So anyway, he was like, what are you gonna do? And like, he was losing his hair, and he had like little pieces of it. And I'm like, well, for one, I'm gonna ask that you tell your boyfriend to stop shaving his pubes and putting them on your head, because it just looks weird. It's freaking me out. I was like, number 2, like, I'll fight you. I don't care. Like, whatever. So we ended up, walking away or whatever. So later that night, Jeff comes up to me. He's like, you don't threaten my family, blah, blah. And I'm like, whoa, that was your family? So, I apologized, whatever. So basically that night we made a deal. It was like, Jeff's like, look, agree to disagree. Is like, what do you not want me to say? I'm like, the only thing I asked Jeff, I'm like, you can say anything you want about me. I'm like, just don't insult my intelligence, because we both know that that's a lie. He was like, no problem. And he goes, well, with me, he goes, you can say I'm short and a midget, because he is. So you can say any of this stuff. He goes, just don't involve my personal relationship, because he was dating Julie at the time. And I was like, cool, no problem. So I was just about to leave on a trip to Canada, and Entertainment Weekly did a 4-page interview with Jeff Probst, and they're like, what do you think about Jonny Fairplay? And he was like, he goes, Jonny Fairplay is a producer's dream. I wish we had a Jonny Fairplay every single season. He goes, however, in real life, he's an asshole and he's an idiot. And I'm like, oh, wow. See, you used the word that you shouldn't have when you said idiot. And he was like, and he's banned from every CBS function for life, whatever. So anyway, I'm like, okay, this guy kind of messed up, because I told him not to do that. So I did a tour of Canada, and I'm doing these radio interviews, and they're like, Jonny, what was the deal with the Entertainment Weekly article? Why are you banned from events? What happened? I was like, honestly, I didn't want to air our dirty laundry. I was like, but basically, before Jeff did Survivor for Vanuatu, he was dating this girl, Katie Doyle, from Road Rules. It's a TV show. He was dating her, and I stole her from him. So, she left Jeff to date me, and when he filmed Vanuatu and he met Julie, he went with a broken heart. And, he's with Julie now, but she'll always be his second choice, So, none of this is true. I made up all that. And so I get a phone call in Canada, and he's like, hey, this is Jeff Probst. I'm like, yeah, right, and I hang up the phone. He goes, no, it's really Jeff. I'm like, dude, I'm tired. I've been on the road for 4 days. Stop calling. And he called back. He's like, dude, it's Jeff. I got your number from Andrew Savage. I'm like, oh, Jeff, what's up? He goes, why'd you say that? I'm like, why'd you call me an idiot? And he was like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, cool, thanks for the apology. So that's it. So yeah, you don't throw rocks at a guy who's got a machine gun is the moral of the story.
Questions?
Anyone? Bueller? Anyone?
Thought I'd pick up the slack since no one else is. And can you just tell us, not about the incident, because I'm sure most of us have on the internet eventually seen the teeth incident, but can you tell us about, at the start of the second Survivor All-Stars, just what kind of pain you're actually in that experience?
Basically, the whole Bonaducci incident, it knocked out my front 4 teeth. This was the week before I left for Survivor Fans vs. Favorites. And basically, these 4 teeth, one was completely knocked out, one was pushed up, the other 2 were turned around. So essentially, over the course of the next 2 days from that, I had 15 hours of dental surgery, 4 root canals, and my entire top jaw wired because my top jaw plate was completely shattered. So this is the week before I left for Survivor, which is the perfect time for that kind of thing to happen. So basically, I couldn't eat anything. I was drinking Ensure and drinking like